That's right, guys. Wotv has been announced, and he's coming out soon. So today we're going over this unique matchup. Engelbert versus Wotv. Two tanks who are very similar. Which one is better, and should you go for one of them instead of the other? So thank you guys for joining us once again, as well as the continued support via our Patreon, as well as YouTube channel member sponsors. This video is sponsored by the Amazon App Store and Amazon.com. This time, guys, we're bringing in the global players a great deal for the Amazon coins system in War of the Visions. In 3 easy steps, you can gain access to this system, saving up to 20% on in-app purchases. And the special offer this time is that there's 2 different bundles that you can get where you will always save 20% off. Usually that is discount of 20% is reserved for the higher tier bundles, but there's 2 different ones for you guys. There's be links down in the descriptions of this video for you guys to check that out. This is a limited time offer, so if you are someone that is going to be making in-app purchases in War of the Visions or in other games, check out the Amazon App Store version of War of the Visions. It's the one that I have used all throughout War of the Visions, as well as several other titles when we've been producing content for those games, guys. I've used it. I love it. Customer service is great in my opinion. That's the greatest experience I've ever had with the customer service department. It's safe and it's free to go ahead and swap on over to that App Store. Links will be in the description for you for the ability for you to go ahead and transfer over as well. So thanks again to Amazon. Let's get into the content for you guys. So as stated, we're going over the distinct differences between Engelbert and Wotv in determining who is the better tank today. So let's start off with Engelbert. Obviously some similarities between him and Wotv. They both have move 3, they both have jump 1, they're both light elemental, they wear swords and heavy armor. That is just how these guys get along. But outside of that, Engelbert is getting threat throughout Taunting Blade with the Paladin, that high AP costing skill, whereas Wotv has a much more efficient TP skill to gain threat. That being said, let's go ahead and check out the distinct differences between their stats as well. So you can see Engelbert here, 1466 base HP at max level there, and then in addition to that, he's going to get an extra 1757 HP from his job boards being leveled up. This is actually going to be a little bit higher than Warrior of Lights. As you can see, Warrior of Lights is going to be a nice 1342 from leveling up, and then 1609 from his job board there. 2 other distinct differences between the 2 of them is actually their master ability. Engelbert here, he gets a whopping 15 defense from his master ability, whereas Warrior of Light is only going to be getting 20% attack and 5 defense there. Attacking really isn't your tank's main job. It's not really what they're there to do. They'll do some supplemental damage, but we want them to absorb that big hit, and defense helps you tank up those physical attacks. Speaking of physical attacks and tanking damage and defense, Engelbert squeaks out even more defense here. He gets 12 defense from his board stats, whereas Warrior of Light only gets 8. So as you can see right here, Engelbert looks to be like he's a better tank with higher defense and all of this other stuff and higher HP. But that's not the full story, because these characters can be built differently and they also have different sets of skills. So Engelbert, you guys already know him. He's got Holy Knight's protection, additional defense, additional HP. He's got divine protection for debuff resistance. Then he's got 2 HP passives on top of that for an additional 15% HP from his HP level up 1. His counter abilities here, we have Paladin's Guard, Sword Guard, and Fist Counter. We know them. We love them. A lot of you guys out there are using the Sword Guard to reduce damage from all damage types by 30%. Whereas Paladin's Guard can reduce physical damage by 45%. So if you find yourself tanking up specifically physical damage, you're going to have this in your back pocket to eke out even that little bit extra damage mitigation there. Now, the mainstay for Engelbert in a lot of players' team compositions is Paladin. This is because he has the combination of Taunting Blade and Sentinel. Taunting Blade is his way to get aggro and threat on him, so he continues to get attacked throughout the match or throughout the PvE encounter, and Sentinel allows him to beef up his defense and spirit by an additional 45 each for a single turn there. Even though it drops your defense, it makes him even bulkier, and this can allow you to take minimal damage while Sentinel is up due to his really high base defense. And with the proper build, you can get upwards to 100 or more defense to almost completely nullify an attack while Sentinel is active. After that, Engelbert has the ability to be a little bit more supportive with either the Knight or the Monk sub-jobs here, and this is because Knight gives him those plentiful breaks for attack and magic, and as well as agility and even AP break. And Monk gives him the ability to be a little bit more offensive or a little bit more supporty as well. Offensive with the Store, the Pummel, the Terra Slash, and the Surge Strike, but he also gets Chakra for that extra healing, as well as TP regeneration to help out your healers or anyone else that's using TP skills in long battles there. The Limit Burst for Engelbert is just Enduring Fortitude, a nice little bit of a damage, 210% multiplier there. Once you get up to 38 AP, you can utilize that skill. Now, Warrior of Light is going to be a little bit different here for you guys. His skills, let's look at his passives. He has the very familiar 12 defense, 12% HP passive, the same thing that Engelbert does. He also has the ability to resist not only dark damage by 12%, but also magic damage by 12% due to his Spellblade sub-job. So he has this very nice Spellblade passive if you want him to actually help tank up some magic damage as well, and you can do that on Warrior of Light. Now, in addition to that, he has the Jump +1 passive, as well as the HP +15% passive. That is something that you want to go and make him even tankier. He can match the Engelbert passives, the 12 defense, 12% HP, 15% HP passives, if you want to go ahead and do that. Now, counters is where they vary. This is where they're very different. So Engelbert has the 45% physical damage mitigation reactive counter, where Warrior of Light has the 45% magic damage mitigation counter. He does not have, Warrior of Light does not have the 30% catch all, reduce all damage counter. He does not have that. He doesn't have Paladin as a sub job there, or he also does not have Knight as a sub job, so he's missing out on both of those reaction commands. But what he does have is he has a unique counter that increases his defense by 10 for an additional 3 turns, so he gets some extra damage mitigation going for the following turns afterwards. But he's not going to be blocking a whole bunch of damage from that reactive command, actually proccing on that heavy hitting attack. And that's something that Engelbert does edge out on him right now, is the catch-all counter and the physical counter there. His main job, though, has a lot of cool stuff. He is more mobile, not because he has more movement. They both have movement of 3, but Warrior of Light does have the move to a target panel. He can actually just teleport into someone's face, all right, and do damage. So he's got like a very nice sort of the Thancred skill where you kind of dash on somebody there. He has this skill. This is going to help him get into the fray and get into more units line of sight, so they attack him. Speaking of being in line of sight, he has the Brave Presence. 18 TP increases his defense by 12, as well as his spirit by 12 for 3 turns. It also gives him 12 threat. This is a big one. This is one of the things that makes Warrior of Light so good in comparison to a lot of other characters out there. And it gives him the ability to just start the battle right away with an additional 12 threat, and it gives him a defense and spirit buff on top of that. So very, 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 very strong. He also has a very strong HP heal. We've seen saintly healing from paladins and things of that nature before, and knights, but this is 60% of his base HP heal. So this is pretty powerful here with this right here. It is a casted heal, keep that in mind, but it is a very significant heal. You only get 1 use out of it, but it's going to heal much more than what we're used to tanks healing themselves. On top of that, he also has reduces damage taken by 35% for the next 3 hits. This is very similar to actually just, it might actually be a very direct copy of Orlando's TMR ability. He has this as a skill he can use 2 times. So not only can he give himself a defense and spirit buff, as well as increase his threat with TP, he also can reduce damage taken for the next 3 hits by 35% as well. And that's all baked into his main class. Afterwards, you get to decide what it is that you want to sub on him for more power. So if you continue with the Warrior of Light special class, you get a 39% attack and magic break. All right, and you also have a 25% faith proc chance to stop somebody as well. So this could be very interesting for you if you want to run a high faith Warrior of Light. If you find yourself in a very physical damage dealing oriented meta, if you want to increase your stop chance, you can do that as well. Although I do believe a lot of players are going to be running minimum faith Warrior of Light, because there are going to be some mages running out there. We have Medina, we have future mages coming out, the Calculator Girl Indira, we have Kulufe coming out, and I don't think this is going to be a reason for you to actually run the Warrior of Light subclass. What you're going to be running the Warrior of Light subclass for is actually the attack and magic break if you choose to do so. If you want more taunts for your pleasure, though, you actually have taunting spell from Spellblade as well. So you get the TP taunt from his main class baked into his kit. You also have Spellblade for taunting spell as well, so he can just get in there and start just taunting away. He has a 38% magic resistance buff he can give to your party as well from Spellblade. He also has the 50% magic damage mitigation for the next 3 attacks on himself as well. So he's got 35% all mitigation that you can put on yourself. You also have 50% magic mitigation you can put on yourself. You have the 38% magic resist buff. You have additional taunting Spellblade. Very powerful sub job here for Warrior of Light. And then lastly, we have Dragoon here, which gives him move and jump +1 for 3 turns, as well as some other skills that really honestly aren't all that good for him. That's really the only reason to go Dragoon. I think a lot of people are going to be going Spellblade on him. And then lastly, we have his Limit Burst, another option to reduce damage on your Warrior of Light. So Limit Burst goes out. It gives him Protect and Shell on top of that, which are distinct buffs, right? He's got the Defense and Spirit buff. He also has Protect and Shell, which maxed out is going to be an additional 25% reduction in physical and magical damage for 3 turns. So if you didn't have enough reasons to go for Warrior of Light yet, let's see how these characters' kits interact with each other when it comes to builds. So Engelbert here is going to be a massive, massive, massive monster. We're leaving the TMR accessory slot open because you can kind of put whatever it is that you want there for yourself. You can put in an elemental resistance TMR. You can put in some crit resistance TMRs if you want. But these 2 main pieces of gear, the Alexandrite ring, and in this instance, the gold armor or the platinum helmet or the golden helmet, whatever it is sort of damage reduction you're trying to go for, whether it's slashing or missile or striking, you're going to have that piece of armor on. But with this sort of build here, you can see with those 2 pieces of gear, as well as Golem, and then obviously the Vow of Love. Vow of Love is the way to go on Engelbert because it gives you that initial enmity up. And it's one of the crutches that Engelbert has to rely on in comparison to Warrior of Light, because Engelbert needs to be able to build up that AP for him to actually use Taunting Blade. The only other time that you could possibly, maybe feasibly get rid of Vow of Love on Engelbert, especially if he's on Paladin, going for that Taunting Blade, is if you have something like Ziza TMR and you're throwing it on Engelbert, so he uses Ziza TMR, hopefully turn every other TP skill off, so he gives himself the AP revitalized, so then he go ahead and Taunting Blade. But if you're doing that, you have that TMR, it's best put on some other character. You're using Vow of Love here. And this is going to be with Holy Knight's Protection as well as HP up level 1. His stats are going to be 6,586 HP, 161 TP, 26 out of 148 AP, 454 attack, 74 defense. He's got monstrous defense here. 4 Spirit, 55 Agility, so relatively slow here. You could put an Agility TMR in the TMR slot to raise this by, 5, 6, 7 points and get that up there as well. 226 Dexterity and 306 Luck. On top of that, remember the Alexandrite ring we have in this instance is going to be rolled for accuracy, just so you can get in those extra hits, put in that residual damage. Remember, the tank's job isn't to do huge, monstrous hits, but they can get in and do a little bit of damage there. And we're rolling the accuracy one, so they are trying to at least hit characters with a little bit of evasion gear or characters who have a little bit of built-in evasion. You want to be able to land those blows on them. And that Alexander ring is also giving you plus 5% elemental resistance across the board here. So very, very tanky stats. Remember, Engelbert has much higher base defense than Warrior of Light does. So what does Warrior of Light's defense and HP look like? So Warrior of Light HP, 5,942. So it is less, but it's not thousands of HP less, right? This is like 600 HP less, 169 TP, 26 out of 148 AP, 447 attack, but he still has 73 defense. Why does he have 73 defense? We'll get to that with the rest of the build. And look at this, 23 spirit. So he's not a wet noodle in comparison to Engelbert, who also, keep in mind, has negative resistances to magic damage. With that being said, he also has 59 agility, and this TMR slot is open up here, so you can put an agility TMR there, an elemental resistance TMR there, another resist TMR there, whatever it is, the world is your oyster there. Let's get to it. We're still using Alexander ring. It's rolled the same exact way, plus 5. We have the golden armor, plus 5 against slashing damage there. We're still using Golem, rolled the same way here. And then we are using a different card. And this is where one of the benefits of using a character like Warrior of Light comes from in comparison to Engelbert, is you don't have to rely on the crutch that is Vow of Love. And this is because he has that TP skill that allows him to generate enmity and give him that defense and spirit buff right away. So we're using Castle Leonis here. Very easy to acquire card. R rarity, very strong still to this day. gives your party a 6% crit hit rate buff, but also gives the person who has it equipped 15 defense and 15 spirit. So this allows Warrior of Light to keep up with that super tankiness of Engelbert. Engelbert's at 74, Warrior of Light's at 73, but in addition to that, you have all of that other raw mitigation of Warrior of Light. This is why Warrior of Light is, in all instances, just a better version of Engelbert. He's quicker, he's got the teleport, he's got damage mitigation, he's got Spellblade sub for magic resist buff. He doesn't have the crazy weakness to a lot of the damage types that Engelbert does, especially magic. As you can see here, Engelbert is weak to magic by quite a lot, -30, whereas Warrior of Light, +5. So very, very strong weakness and resistances to different damage types as well there with Warrior of Light. So that's going to be the wrap up, guys. Who's better, Engelbert, Warrior of Light? Warrior of Light is by far definitely the better tank there. Not saying you cannot use Engelbert, but if you have to ask the question who's better, Warrior of Light is definitely the answer there, guys, in this circumstance. So thank you guys for joining us once again. All these sort of interesting things with Brave Exvius, War of the Visions, all that great stuff out there. He's just better. Very rarely on this channel do we just say someone is just better for 99% of the content. War of Light is going to be in there like swim over. Thank you guys for spending that time here today, and until the next one, guys, stay safe out there, and I'll see you in the next video.